Welcome back. In this task, we will see how to write instructions to perform a basic calculation using variables. We will use an example from the cloud computing domain. Public cloud providers such as Amazon and Google provide computing resources that can be accessed using the internet, and they charge us by the seconds. So let's say we've used computing resources for 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 12 seconds. How many seconds would that be? This is a simple calculation. Let's try it at the console. So we have 2 hours times 60 gives us the minutes, times 60 gives us the seconds. So that's 2 hours converted to seconds. And to that we add the minutes. 10 minutes times 60 converts the minutes to seconds. And then we have 12 seconds left. Let's add that as well. And let's press enter. And we get 7812. Now this was easy. However, if somebody else were to look at this calculation, they may or may not be able to find out what we've done. Let's see if using variables and instructions to perform this computation makes it more meaningful. From this task onwards, I will give you the code that we will use in the tasks so that you can follow along with me. To get that code, please make a note of the URL that you see on the screen towards the bottom, https://rstudio.cloud/project/2443033. I'll copy that URL and paste it in the address bar. And I'll press enter. Now, what this does is creates a copy of a project that I had created earlier. That project contains the code that we will use in this task. Now, when we type in the URL, RStudio Cloud creates a temporary copy of that project. If we log out of RStudio Cloud, we'll lose the temporary copy. So let's make a permanent copy. And to do so, we click on this Save a Permanent Copy button. And we get a permanent copy in our own workspace. Now, each project in RStudio Cloud has a URL, a distinct URL. Let's look at the URL here. Notice the number. This number is different than the number that was in the URL. The number in the URL was 2443033. I have a different number. You will have a different number. And each project has a distinct URL. So the URL that I gave you was the URL of the project that I had created earlier, and I had given access to the project to everybody, which is why we were able to make a copy of the project. In this project, we have this file, pfefound task examples.r. Let's click on that file, and it'll open up the file for us. Now this file has instructions for our previous task as well, and we'll skip those and we'll go down all the way to the instructions for this task. And here are the instructions for the current task. Notice this line that starts with a hash symbol. This is a comment line. We often provide comment lines in our code to describe the code that we have written. Here, the comment line says that these are instructions for the current task. When we write comments in our code, they are generally ignored when the instructions are executed. These comment lines are more for us developers to understand what the code is doing. So let's look at the instructions. I've defined variables and assign data to them. So I have a variable numR and I've assigned 2 to it, a variable nummin to which I've assigned 10, and a variable numsec to which I've assigned 12. These are the hours, minutes, and seconds that we've used the computing resources for. I've also created variables to assign values of the number of minutes per hour and number of seconds per minute, and they're 60 each. And then in this instruction, I'm converting the number of hours to number of seconds. So I take a product of num hour, minutes per hour, and seconds per minute, and I assign the product to a variable called hr2sec. Similarly, in the next instruction, I take the product of nummin and seconds per min, and I assign the product to min2sec variable. And then in this instruction, I add up all the seconds. The hour to sec is the number of seconds converted from hours. Likewise, minutes to seconds conversions and the number of seconds. I add them all up. Let's execute this instruction to see what we get. So we'll first do the assignments, and you can watch the console. We've done the assignments. Now let's convert the hours to seconds and minutes to seconds. Now let's add them up and let's print it out. And as you can see, the value is 7812, like before. However, I hope you'll agree that by seeing this, we can make out that we're converting hours and minutes to seconds. And that is the advantage of variables. By using variables, we can assign meaningful names to the data, and that makes it easier to follow the computation that we have done. Let's look at the environment here, and we'll see all the variables that we define as part of this task. For example, this is hour to sec, and that is 7,200. That tells us that 2 hours when converted to seconds yield 7,200 seconds. Amazon and Google have a lot of customers, and they wouldn't want to write these instructions again and again for each customer. What they would prefer to do would be to write these instructions once and then reuse them again and again. And the way we do it is by using functions. Functions allow us to organize instructions so that we can write them once and reuse them again and again. In the next task, we will see how we write functions. Please make a note of the name of the project we just created. It's called PFE Programming Foundations. We will use the same project for the next task. So I'll see you in a short while.